Some stories begin in silence, with tired glances, a quiet home, two people, and something that isn't like it used to be. The story I'm about to tell is not about staying, nor even about leaving. It's about that moment when you realize nothing lasts forever, except for experiences. Even if you don't think about them anymore, they never leave you. They remain hidden in the corners of your heart. Once upon a time, in two distant cities, there lived a girl named Leora and a boy named Silas. Leora was full of light, her hair like sunlight, her eyes like early morning. But sometimes her heart was cloudy. She was always looking for someone who could truly understand her feelings. Silas was a quiet boy, a little strange, a little dreamy, but kind and creative. He knew how to tell stories through sound and image and enchant many hearts. One day, when Leora was invited to a performance, Silas was there too. Leora smiled and asked, "Are you performing too?" Silas nodded and replied, "Yes, but I mostly like to watch. You're like the sun." From that day on, light and shadow became friends. They were always together, in the park, on mountaintops, on the soft living room couch. Silas told stories, and Leora laughed. Leora sang, and Silas listened with his eyes. One day, Silas asked, "Leora, will you stay with me?" Leora replied, "If you promise to always love me." And they made that promise, but the sky didn't stay sunny forever. Little by little, dark clouds came and covered the light. Their shared world grew dim. They had a house with large windows and secrets behind the walls. To others, they looked like stars. But behind closed doors, a different story was being written. Sometimes laughter echoed, sometimes the sound of a glass breaking, and sometimes a silence that clung to the walls like a wound. Leora asked, "Why don't you tell me stories anymore?" Silas said, "Why don't you laugh anymore?" Leora began to cry. Silas asked, "Why does everything have to end in a fight?" Leora said, "Why don't you talk to me when I'm upset?" After that, little voices grew between them. One said, "You don't care about me." The other said, "You always want to change me." Sometimes Leora shouted. Sometimes Silas disappeared. Neither of them knew how to defend themselves without hurting the other. Leora thought anger meant shouting. Instead of holding herself, she searched for someone else's arms to feel calm. Silas always hid, from emotion, from speaking, from hearing the sound of someone crying, someone he cared about. Their story was real, but short, and Leora didn't want to believe it was over. She had light, but sometimes it burned, and Silas couldn't accept that. One day, Leora picked up a notebook and wrote everything down. She wrote that her heart was broken, that Silas had hurt her. People read it. Some took Leora's side, some took Silas's, but Silas said, "I was a storyteller. I wasn't the villain in this tale." After that, Leora and Silas were never in the same story again. After the breakup, silence filled the space between them. No messages, no words. Only two hearts, each alone, starting to hear things they'd never heard before. In the end, no one really won. Not forever. Not fully. Fame cracked. Hearts grew weary. Leora went far away. Silas returned to the stage, but this time, with eyes that didn't believe in everything anymore. They stayed with their wounds, but those wounds became the places where roots could finally grow. And within their story, there wasn't just a breakup, but a lingering question. If two people are in pain, who gets to speak louder, and who must remain silent? This story, like many others, is not black or white. There is no hero, no true villain, just two humans who didn't know how to love each other without losing themselves. And maybe that's the most important lesson. Every relationship that is seen holds 1,000 unseen moments. Some stories aren't meant to be judged. They only ask to be heard. Maybe if we had listened more, both Leora and Silas would have healed sooner.